Hi everybody, I'm Vanessa from the Spinner Stash, and today I'm here to talk to you about drop spindling. So there's a couple things I was going to go over. I've been really excited to talk to you about spinning today. The first thing is going to be the anatomy of the drop spindle, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the different fiber preps that you can do to do spinning on the drop spindle, and then I'm going to talk about the different steps to actually spin your own yarn on the drop spindle. So welcome everybody. If you don't know me, I'm Vanessa from the Spinner Stash. I see a couple people are coming on. Say hello, and then I want to make sure that my comments are working because I do want this to be interactive. So just say hello in the comments if you are here so I can test it out. Hello, Wendy. Let me know if you're here to spin, or if you're here to learn, if you have a drop spindle already, or if you're just curious about it and you want to see like what it's all about. Let me know. Let me know why you are here tonight, or if you're just bored on a Friday. I don't know. And I'm trying to. Hello, everybody. I see lots of people getting on. So since there are people actually getting on, I'm just going to wait a couple minutes to get started on the actual content here. But like I was saying just a minute ago, I'm going to just talk about all about drop spindling. So if you have any questions about spindles, fiber, spinning in general, I do also spin on the spinning wheel. I have many spinning wheels, but I learned to spin on a drop spindle, and I think it's a really good way to be introduced into spinning. So I really like to talk to people about spinning on the drop spindle, see if they are interested, and before they commit to buying like an actual spinning wheel, because those are very expensive. And drop spindles are mobile and not as expensive, so it's always a good choice. Hello Elaine, hello Sue, hello Rachel. I see all the comments coming up on there. I'm not really sure why I'm not seeing it on my computer, but it's not that big a deal. I can work with this. Usually I have my son helping me out with the comments and stuff, but he is not helping me today. I don't even see where the comments are on here. That's all right. Okay, so there is a question on here from Rachel, which, why can't I see the whole thing? It says, I'm comfortable on my wheel, but not confident to actually do the drop spindle. Park and draft is so slow. And then I can't see the rest of what the rest of the comment says, actually. Oh, here we go. Oh, how should I start with letting it go? Okay, so you're talking about actually like having it dangling. So we'll get to, I'll remember this question and we'll get to that point, but it's definitely just getting the confidence of the parking and drafting to begin with. And then once you get confident doing the parking and drafting, and then like just spinning, sitting down, then maybe start letting go. But we'll get to that in a little while. I'm going to go ahead and get started at the top of my list, which is just talking about the actual drop spindle. But keep the questions coming, obviously. So these are drop spindles, and they're for spinning wool into yarn. These are two different kinds of drop spindles. This one is a bottom whorl, and this one is a top whorl. So we'll just quickly talk about the different parts of it, just so you're familiar with the words that I'm using. So this is just the shaft, which is just a dowel on my drop spindles. And then I do have hooks on mine. It does not have to have a hook. You can spin without a hook. If you do have a drop spindle without a hook, you're going to want to do like a half hitch knot, just to like keep it on the top while it's dangling there. But if you have a hook and you're a beginner, then you're probably good to go. So we have a hook on mine. The weight is called the whorl. Now this one is a top whorl because the whorl is on the top part of your shaft. This one is a bottom whorl because it's down closer to the bottom. Now it can be anywhere on here, but these are the most common, is the top and the bottom. And they're spun very similarly, but you'll have to wind this one just a little bit different to get it to work properly. And I'll get to that once we get to the setup here. So that's all that it is. That's all that our drop spindle is just those parts. And this is what people would use before, like spinning wheels, and then obviously for a long time after and up until current day. So that's what those look like. I like to put what's called a leader thread on mine to get started. You don't have to do this, but it does make it a little bit easier to get your wool started. I usually will just grab a length of string like about this long, so maybe like I don't know, 1.5 feet or something. I'll put a loop on each end, and I don't do anything fancy. I literally just tie one little loop on this side. It doesn't matter the size, just as long as it's going to fit over your dowel. And then I tie another loop on the other side, really simple, nothing fancy. And then I slide it up the shaft, and you want to put it all the way up to the whorl. So this is the top whorl one. We're going to start by talking about this one. So you want to put your leader thread all the way up to where the whorl is, and then you want to wind it a couple times just to make sure it's nice and secure. And we're going to put this down just for a few minutes while I talk about the different fiber preps that are pretty common before we get to the spinning part. So does anybody have any questions about like the actual drop spindle yet? No. Okay. I'm just going to talk about 3 different types of prep that are very common for beginners. Obviously, there's so many different types of fiber preparation, but I don't have all the time to talk about it. So this is called a bat, and this is done on a drum carder, and it brushes all of the fibers into it so they're not aligned. So when you're doing a bat and it's on the carder, these ones come up. This is what it looks like. Whoops. Sorry guys. I'm unfolding it so you can actually see what it looks like. So it kind of comes out like a big sheet. So if you think about it being rolled around the big drum and then it's cut off, that's how this one is made. So all the fibers are brushed and it's in one long hello Jennifer. Now the way that I usually spin off of these is I'll just you can see that the fibers are going in this direction. Everything is going in the one direction. So I will take a strip and I'll just peel off the strip, and I'll start with something small because you don't want to be trying to spin from this huge clump. And then you have a little strip of fiber here, which looks very similar to roving or top, which are also prepared very differently. So your roving is also going to be carded, which is going to be brushed in a very similar way, but this one comes out like already in a strip. So it's already ripped into a strip basically. And then if it's top, which I don't have one to show you, but it looks very similar to this, it's just combed. It's combed. So I'm trying to think, like, so if you have like combs in your, like, it's just brushed differently basically, and all of the fibers will be aligned in a top. So that's what the difference is between the two. It's a little bit confusing, but anyways, everything kind of comes out. You want it to be in this kind of structure. So as long as you're kind of looking at something like this, it's going to be a lot easier to use. And I'm going to do my demonstration with the roving because I feel like that's the most common for beginners. Oh, sorry guys, I forgot to talk about the rollags, which is something a little different, and that's made on the blending board, and it comes out in a tube. And these are really lovely to spin with, and it just kind of pulls off the end there. And then you just spin and spin and spin, 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 and it comes out really nicely. But even though these are like one of the best things to spin with on a drop spindle, I feel like they're not as common for beginners for some reason. They're a little bit more difficult and tedious to make, I think is the thing about those. But if you can get your hands on some Rolags, they're amazing. Other than that, I'd say roving is probably the most common. So we're going to go ahead and get started with our roving. So now I have a strip of my roving. I'm going to rip this into even smaller strips. Unless you're going to make like some kind of big, huge, chunky yarn, you want to really get this stripped down to smaller pieces to handle. So as you can see, I'm ripping off like really small pieces, and they come off in like kind of clumps. You want to get it as close to the thickness of the yarn that you're wanting to spin. So if I want to spin something really thin, I want to prep it down to something really thin. That way it's less work. So especially for, I'm sorry, was it Rachel? Rachel, especially for you, fiber preparation is going to be key to getting to where you can actually drop the spindle. It's going to speed up your parking and drafting because you're not going to be fiddling with the fiber so much. So fiber preparation is going to be critical when you want to get faster and you want to do continuous drop spinning. Okay, so everything has to already be prepared because you don't want to be messing with it while it's actually dangling. So we'll start with these. We got these really tiny little pencil rovings now. And I'm going to go even further, and I'm going to do what's called a pre-draft. So I'm going to draft this before I even get to the spinning part. And all that is literally, I'm just going to take this and I'm going to sit here and I'm just going to keep drafting. So when you're drafting, you want to make sure that you're holding it further than where the staple is. So if you know the staple length of your fibers, which is generally going to be like 2 to 3 inches, generally, you want to make sure that your fingers are at least 2 to 3 inches apart, because you don't want to be grabbing on either side of the same hairs, if that makes sense. So leave quite a bit of a gap, at least 3 inches, and you want to hold it loosely so the fibers can slide past each other. Then you're going to pull, just gently pull, and you'll feel it start separating. Now you want to pull it to where it starts looking quite thin. You can see like through it, but you don't want to pull it all the way apart. You don't want to detach it. So, and it's okay if you do, but just try not to. So we're just gently going to pre-draft, and I'm just going to sit here and do this. And you could just sit in front of the TV and you can prep a whole bag of this. And then when you're done and you go to spin, it's just going to be so much easier because you've already done like the hardest part. The hardest part of spinning is drafting, in my opinion. All right. So now we have a really long, really small little piece of fiber here. Okay? And I'm going to make it like nice so it's not dangling everywhere. I don't really like to wrap it. I do this thing where I like do it back and forth. So I put it this way and then that way and then this way and then that way. So when it's coming out of my hand, it's just kind of like folding out. You do it however you want. This is how I do it. So I'll tuck everything into my hand nicely, and I leave the end hanging out. And you want to have everything in there to where you can just kind of fold a piece out, Okay, so this is how I have my fiber ready. And then I have all my other little ones prepped and ready, and they're just laying over here to the side. Okay, so we have our drop spindle, and like I said, we're starting with the top whorl. I did forget to mention something about the weights. So the weights kind of make a difference when you're choosing a drop spindle. So if you're wanting to spin like really chunky, funky, huge art yarns, you're going to want something that's heavy. If you're going to spin something that's like really light and lace weight, you're going to want something that's light. The spindles I make, I do in grams just because I feel like it's more accurate, or goes down to smaller numbers. Anyways, mine are in grams, and generally anything I do like 15 to 30 gram weight of the whorl, just the whorl, not the shaft, is good for just any kind of regular spinning. Anything lighter is good for lace weight, and then anything heavier than like 30 grams is going to start getting into your like chunky art yarn ranges. And you're going to want that weight on there to give it the right tension, and to also keep it turning. Okay, so just some things to consider when you're choosing a whorl. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't spin lace weight on these, or you can't spin chunky on a light one. It just means it'll be more difficult. So it's just something to consider. Right, so now I have my leader thread is connected to my whorl, or I'm sorry, to the shaft. I'm going to put it up onto my hook so it's dangling. And what I usually do is I just take the end of my fiber and then I put it through the eye hole that I made. And then I wrap it back on itself. So literally it's just going through, and then I'm holding it back on itself and laying it on top. So it shouldn't be able to come apart. Okay? And then we're going to give it a twist. So this begins our parking, drafting, and twisting. So we're going to twist, and it's going to go clockwise. So anytime that you're spinning a single, spin it clockwise. That way you never get confused and then like undo your yarn. So when you're doing a single, you spin clockwise, and then when you're plying, you want to spin anti-clockwise. So once you've built up your twist, this is going to start to slow down or stop. That's when you want to grab it, okay? And then you're going to park it. If you're sitting down, you can park it in between your knees, or you can park it underneath your arm if you feel more comfortable doing that, especially if you're standing. But I do find if you're sitting and you're a beginner, between the knees is easiest. You want to keep a little bit of tension on here. You don't want it to be slack, because as you can see, the twist makes it kind of curl up. So just keep a little bit of tension as you have it parked. Don't let your twist go into your loose fibers. You always want to make sure that you're guarding where your twist is going to go. So I'm going to scoop my fingers back onto my fiber, and I'm going to pinch right here, because when I let this go with this hand, this twist is going to climb up into this fiber. And if I don't have my fingers right here pinching, it's going to go into this whole bundle of fibers. And then that's going to make this yarn, and it's going to be really hard to draft or make any other changes to it. So make sure that you don't let your twist escape. So you want to guard it right there, and then you're going to let go with the other hand, and the twist is going to climb up. Okay? So I don't know if you guys could see when that happened. So we're going to add some twist. When it starts to slow down, you're going to grab it. You're going to park it. Scoot your fingers back. Do your draft if you need to draft it more, because you want it drafted to the thickness that you want your yarn to be, right? So now I have it drafted. I'm going to pinch, and then I'm going to let go and let the twist climb in. Okay? I can feel that I still have like a lot of twist in there. And the way that you can kind of tell is if you touch it, you can feel that it's like kind of hard, or it's like knotting up a lot. That means that there's still excess twist in there. So you can go ahead and draft a little bit more. Guard where your twist is going, let go, and then let the twist climb in there. So now it's like nice and soft. It doesn't feel like there's little knots in it. Now I know that my twist is exhausted. So we'll go ahead and, you want to go to like where it's like an arm's length. So I think we can go one more time. We'll give it a good twist. So we're giving it a good twist here. It's slowing down, so I'm going to park it. And then I'm going to draft. And we're going to let the twist in there. Draft. Let a little bit more twist in there. And now we're completely exhausted. Okay? So now we have a full arm's length of yarn made here. So we're going to take it off the hook. And then you just want to wind it on. And the way that you're winding it on is you want to roll it on onto your shaft here. So you don't want to wrap your yarn around. You want to roll it up like this. Okay? And then you're going to put it back up to the hook. I always wrap it around twice. I've always done it since I was a beginner. You don't have to do that, but that's just what I do. You want to make sure that you have like 6 to 8 inches of leader, so you have somewhere to work with your twist. Okay? And then you're just going to keep doing it a million zillion times more until you make yarn. So slowing down, we're going to park it, draft it, let the twist in. Now, we had a question, Rachel, about the continuous spin. So now that you have those steps of the draft, park, twist, draft, park, twist, draft, park, twist, once you start getting fast at that, especially when you have everything prepped beforehand, then you want to go ahead and start practicing just letting it dangle the whole time. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what that kind of looks like, and then you can ask me like specific questions about it if you need to. But yeah, so you're just going to do exactly the same thing. As you're going to twist, but then you're not going to wait for it to slow down. You're just going to draft and let it in, draft and let it in, draft and let it in. And you're always holding right here. You see how I'm holding right below all of my loose fibers? You never want to let that twist climb up into here. So I think that's the biggest thing, is making sure that you're guarding where your twist goes, because it doesn't really matter down here. It's just going to keep climbing up and up and up. I'm going to make this a little bit shorter, that way you guys can see really good in the camera. Right, so I'm winding it up, rolling it up. Make sure you leave your leader 6 to 8 inches for your twist. Now we're going to give it a really nice twist, and then as it's spinning, like I said, you're just drafting and letting it in, drafting and letting it in, and it's just going further and further down. And then as you can see, like my spindle kind of stopped spinning, so I'll just give it another twist because I feel like I can keep going. There's still more distance between my hands and the ground, so I'll just keep going until it goes all the way down to the ground. And then I take it off and then wind it up. I just roll it up. Now when you're rolling it onto your dowel here, you want to make sure that you're doing it like a bobbin, so you're kind of filling it up and down. Well, that's the way I do it, at least. Some people do it like this weird way from like the middle. It's called the cup. But anyways, I do mine like as if a bobbin is winding, and I go kind of back and forth to keep it nice and stacked properly. You can do it however you want though. Right, so that's basically how you do the top whorl. The bottom whorl is very similar. There's just one main difference, and I'll go ahead and show you that. So again, if you missed the thing I was talking about, I'm just going to prep this, do a little pre-draft again for my bottom whorl spindle that I'm about to do here. Does anybody have any questions while I'm getting that ready? Because that'll pretty much be the last thing. That was a really quick demo, actually. Not much talking. Is anybody out there spinning while you're watching this? Or is this anybody's first time seeing someone drop spin? You guys are quiet. Right, so I have this piece prepped. And you know, I'll sit in front of the TV and watch my shows and get like a whole bat prepped for spinning. And then once you're spinning, you can just go. Once everything is prepped like that, you know. And like I said, I just wind it up in my hand really nice. So here's my bottom whorl. And this is literally just upside down from the other ones. We'll get our leader thread here. Again, I usually do, it's like an arm's length, I don't know, like 1.5 feet maybe. Do our little loops on the end. Oopsies, that almost went over the edge. It's so hot in here. I can't have the fan on because I hang my lights off of it. All right, so we have our, and now this is exactly the same as I did for the other one. There's nothing different. So the way that you put the leader on this is going to be different though. So it is going to go under the whorl, just the same as we were doing with the top whorl. So you just put your little loop under the whorl. And then it's going to come around. Oh, I probably should have made that one. No, that's still good. So with the bottom whorl, you're going to want to barber pull, called barber pulling, your leader thread up to the top. Because if you don't do this, when you go to spin, it's going to be like super wobbly and it's going to kind of just be all not good. So you want to make sure that you barber pull it all the way up to the top, whether you have a hook or you'll do your hitch knot there. And then you take your fibers just the same as we did with the top whorl, and I just pass it through, in case you missed that the first time. Literally just pass it through and put it back on itself. And I usually draft them together just for a second. Right, so then you just grab this and you're going to do exactly the same as you did with the top whorl. So we're going to clockwise, give it a good twist. When it starts to slow down, we'll grab it. You can park it. And then you're just going to do your draft and then let your twist in. Draft, let your twist in. And then I need a little more twist on here. So we're going to give it a good twist clockwise, always. And it's the same too here for your continuous spin. You're just going to draft and let the twist in. And the most important thing is not to let your twist go into your loose fibers up here. So always keep it guarded there. I think that's the most important thing. And then once you get your arm's length, you'll take it off the hook there. And then you kind of have to unwind. And then you'll build your cop over the whorl instead of under the whorl. And you just want to roll it like you did. Roll it like you did the top whorl. I'm sorry. I forgot what I was talking about. Right. And then you want to barber pull it up again to spin. Just like that. Are there any questions about top whorl, bottom whorl, fiber prep, spinning in general? Anything? So I do prefer doing art yarns, and I do like really heavy whorls. That's kind of my thing. I like doing really funky yarns on these. So if you have any questions about that, I do a lot of tutorials on those as well. My first time sitting here crocheting. Oh man, I cannot. Oh no, am I frozen? I don't know. I don't know if there's I mean, the weather's good here, so I don't know. I cannot crochet. I've tried it. I'm a knitter, and I think I have a really hard time like trying to translate. Are you going to cover how you would ply two of these together? I wasn't going to cover it, but I can talk about it. I think I actually had. So there's a couple ways that you can ply with a drop spindle. I mean, you're doing the same. So if you want to ply with a drop spindle, you have to have 3 drop spindles, okay? Or you have to have, so you're going to have 2 singles, right? And your singles are going to be on this one and this one, right? And then I want to put them together on another one. So then I have another one, and this one is empty. And I'm going to load these 2 onto this one, which is like a lot of effort. But that's how you have to do it sometimes. Or you can do what's called Andean plying, and you can do it with 1. So I spun a single on here, and then you wrap it a certain way around your hand. It's called Andean plying. And then it makes your 1 single into a 2-ply, and you're using your hand as like the lazy Kate. So you would be spinning that in the opposite direction. So you'd be going anti-clockwise, and then you have 2 ends of the same yarn spinning anti-clockwise into a 2-ply. So it's 1 single being turned into a 2-ply, if that makes sense. So I've tried it, but I feel there has to be a better way than what I did. Yeah, so Jennifer, is what you tried like with the 3, because, and then you need something to hold your other, you would need it like a spindle Kate, which is what holds your, and what I usually use, let me show you, when I teach, and people they don't know how to Indian ply or whatever. Look, I got this basket at the dollar store, for seriously like $3. And I also have a bunch of other crap in it. But it's got holes in the sides. You just slide them in. You slide this in. Like I just had this end and that end, right? And then look. You could just pull it right off. So if you put two of them next to each other, then you can ply, you're using that as like your lazy Kate, and then you're applying two of them onto one. So you still would need the 3 spindles, but it holds your, yeah, I mean, octopus arms would be good, but also a cheap basket is also good. So if you get something, I mean, I don't know what drop spindles that you have, but like I said, I mean, this was like $3, and it just has holes that are just big enough, which most of the spindles will come on a dowel about this size, and there's still like a little bit of wiggle room in there, but not a whole lot. So you could definitely use this as a lazy Kate or spindle Kate to make a 2-ply. I generally Andean ply, which is you have to wrap it a specific way around your hand, which I do have a demo on my Facebook. So if you just go to my page, I think I actually have it pinned to the top, and there's a full demo on how to do the Andean plying with the drop spindle. So you can watch that. And that's all I've done here. I just haven't showed you how I wrapped it. But that was a really good question though. And I'm sorry that I'm not showing that today, but it is a little bit detail oriented, and it's like its own demo. But I already have made that demo. So you are welcome to go look. I will also, yeah, just go to my Facebook page. It's on there. So are there any other questions before I go? Those are really good questions though. I wind my single onto a nostopine. Yes. Yeah, so you can wrap them onto something else, or you can take it off of, you can, sometimes I even literally just, I don't have any, I cleared all of my spindles, but I'll just literally slide the cup. If you can see, like, cause I have it all wrapped here, I'll literally just slide the cup off like that. And then if you have a leader on inside of there, grab the leader and you already have a center pull ball. Like you've already made a center pull ball, and you can just slide it right off of there. Or you can just pull it off and wind it onto something else, or, yeah, there's a lot of options there. I just tangled that up, guys. That's why I don't be touching stuff. All right, I'll put that back over there. All right, well, it doesn't look like I have any new questions on there. Oh. Can you show spinning thicker art yarn if you have time? Yeah, I can do that. This is one of my heavier ones. I'm gonna use it. So I would do, and I also have a video pinned to the top of my Facebook page that's spinning art yarn on the drop spindle as well. Oh yeah, that's, like I said, that's my special. I actually wrote a book about it, and like talks all about like how to do it. If you come to my Wafa show, I sell it there or on my website, but I do talk all about spinning art yarns on the drop spindle, and I also talk about like fiber preparation and like picking out your fleeces from the farm, taking it home, washing it, dyeing it, getting it ready for spinning, and then the actual spinning. And then I think I have like 5 or 6 art yarns that I show you how to make on the drop spindle specifically in here, and the Andean plying is in there. I mean, it's everything from like start to finish, so it's pretty in depth. But yeah, I do have, which one did I do? It was beehives and something else. I did the demo on there recently. Anyways, so if you want to spin something chunky, you're going to want to, not draft it as much. You have to leave it thicker. So like I said, you want to get it kind of close. You want to draft it close to like the thickness that you actually want your yarn to be. So I'm not going to deal with this whole huge thing, just so I can kind of show you. Let me get this connected. It's a bit hard to step up. Connect it on a step up, if you know what I mean. Like going from smaller to bigger. Just because the twist always wants to go to the thinnest part of your yarn. So as you're getting it connected, you kind of got to walk it up there. So let me just get this kind of hidden there. Okay, so now we're a bit closer. So you can see it's like a lot thicker. You just need to leave more fibers in it. And then like if you want to do, and with these, since I can't really hold them in my hand, because they'll be like really long with the chunky ones and they spin up really quick, I'll generally get it ready and then I just toss it like back over my shoulder, and then I'll just kind of be spinning like this and then just pulling it from the back, because otherwise I start slurping up all the fibers into the where it's not supposed to go. So I throw it behind me and then keep it like really separated. Yeah. All right, so we're going to do exactly the same here. We're going to, you can do the park and draft, or you can do a continuous spin. It doesn't really matter. So we're going to give it a spin. It's stopped, so I'm going to grab it, park it, and then if you want to draft it, draft it. If you don't want to draft all that out and you just want to let the twist in, then go ahead and let the twist in. And you can see I left it a lot thicker there. And then we're just going to keep going, spin, twist, park, draft, and you can see it's like super thick, like a lot thicker. Now if you want to do like thick and thins, again, it's exactly the same. You can park and draft and do thick and thins or any kind of shape that you want. It doesn't matter. Like I'm going to pull this, I'm going to drop this really thin behind, and I'm going to leave it like a little bit thicker there. So let's put some twist in it, slowing down, park it. We did our draft. Now I'm going to let the twist hop over that, and we have like a slub there where it goes thicker and then thinner. So the twist is always going to want to go to the thinnest part. So just kind of keep that in your head when you're, so as you can see, I have lots of varied thicknesses there, and it really just depends on your draft. I hope that kind of helped. But yeah. Are there any other questions? Those are all really good questions though. And then whenever I'm done like messing around, like say I want to take a break, I just kind of wrap this around and then I'll put it in a bag or something like upside down, and you can put it in your purse or whatever. And then when you're ready to work on it again, then you take it out and then you're ready to work on it. It doesn't fall apart or anything. It's great. Okay. Well, I do thank you all for coming. And check out my Facebook page. You guys see, it's this, the Spinner Stash is the business page, and I have like loads of videos on there. I think it's linked to my YouTube as well, which I do have lots of how-to on there. I put lots of reels from my Instagram as well, which the link is on there. You guys can check out my website. I sell my book on there. I do hand make these drop spindles out of resin, so I sell those there as well. Bats, kits, all kinds of stuff. Also, I'm an Ashford dealer, so I sell Ashford wheel and loom products. So if you're interested or have any questions about those, you can message me. I will have a couple things at the September WAFA sale. My time slot is on the 26th at 4 o'clock, I believe. And also that event is linked in this event and also on my Facebook page. So thank you for coming. Let me know if you have any questions about spinning. Bye, guys.